All right. I am pleased to be here tonight with you guys. Uh, some of you will be in the live, and some of you will see this at a later time, and that's awesome either way because we're here to help people think outside the box and think in terms of maximizing time versus money. How do you quantify that, right? We're going to talk about very, very interesting things today. And we're going to talk about the difference between leads versus data. Hello, my name is Jader. I'm the founder of Black Label Closers, an organization dedicated to help people become highly effective in the art of selling high ticket, any type of offer out there. Please subscribe. Please make comments, questions, hit the like button, the bell. Let's get to know each other. All right. I'm going to be here every Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's, by the way, guys, that's 90% of the times, right? Sometimes I'm going to have something that comes up and I'm not going to be able to do a Tuesday, but I'll do a Thursday or vice versa. I always make sure that I do at least one, and that's going to be 90% of the times I'm going to be here both days. All right. Excellent. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to talk about the difference between what's the lead and what's data, right? Um, so let's go with the first item here. The first item is intention. Uh, the intention of the individual approaching, right? You have, in order for people to invest into anything, they build up emotion, right, towards that something. And this is something that starts building up throughout some time. So just because somebody reached out to you guys and wanted to talk to someone, that doesn't mean that they have intention. Why am I saying this? You get on the phone and or the video, or you attend a house call or whatever it is that you're doing. Typically, it's going to be a phone call or a video call. And then you're going to ask the question, obviously, how long have you been thinking about this, right? And they said, well, no, I haven't been thinking about this. I just saw you guys. I thought it was interesting, so I decided to book a call. That's not intention, guys. That is just someone who is just not having anything better to do. That's basically what that is. That doesn't tell me that this person has an intention of even talking about this. This is just someone who just, hey, it sounds cool, right? It's like when I'm flipping through channels, right? Well, you guys wouldn't know that because let's say I'm swapping, right? I don't watch TV anymore, of course, but just keep that, I'm a little older. So what I'm saying here is you're going through, scrolling, and then you go through, shorts, and then there's that one that you just, well, all right, and you watch it, right? Well, you're not going to waste anybody's time, but it doesn't mean that you were looking for that specific short. It just popped, something caught your eye, and you decided to stick around. It's the same thing. You have no intention. Maybe you don't even have intention. How many times do you swap? Do you scroll, and then you find that you're subscribing to that specific channel? Not many times. You just go through it, and then you watch the video. You laughed. You got pissed. Maybe made a comment and got out. Moved on to the next short until you find another one with the same stuff, right? The same condition. So, condition with the same characteristics or things that appeal to you. So this is what intention is not. It's just someone wanting to have a conversation about a topic. It doesn't tell me we're talking about selling high ticket. In order for someone to muster enough energy to take a credit card and give you $20,000, this is not just someone that you convinced very strongly because you are the most incredible salesperson on earth. And you convince a person that you just saw an ad 5 minutes ago, and now he or she is on the phone with you, and you're going to be able to convince them to move $20,000 out of their credit card or bank account and give it to you in your organization because they're going to learn how to do something, how to invest. Typically, this is going to be a coaching program, an investing opportunity, building a business, a lot of areas of expertise and services out there. You don't just do that. That doesn't mean that person can potentially become serious, but from that curiosity stage to becoming serious, we don't know how much time has to pass and how many things have to happen for this person to make that decision. So intention is a very important thing to consider. I want to know how long you've been thinking about. I've been thinking about this for the past 2 years. I invested in a program like this before, but it didn't work out for me. Don't be scared about that. They're not telling you. There's a reason why they're on the phone. If they thought that this was not going to work out for them, they wouldn't be on the phone with you. They're just telling you that something didn't work out, whether it was themselves not working the program or it so happened to be that they dealt with the company that was not in the best, performing in the best of for the best of their interest, right? I want, and then you keep talking to them, and they're going to tell you, I want my company to do better, or depending on the product that you're selling, right? I want my company to do better, to systematize the process with AI. Now that AI is a thing, and a lot of companies are selling, training for dealing with AI and how to maximize your productivity through AI, right? Or if you're selling an investing opportunity, I've been thinking about the possibility of building a legacy for my family, being able to, get out of my 9 to 5. That's an intention, guys. You have to listen to not the conversation, but you have to listen to to their stories and their proposition and how they're thinking about the one thing that they're calling about, right? So intention is extremely important if you understand what that encompasses. If you understand that intention is not just a thought, but it's a feeling, and it's a lasting feeling. It has to be a feeling that's been building up. It's not a 5 minute. 5 minutes ago. I'm not saying that you're not going to be able to sell someone who just happened to make a decision within the last 5 minutes. Now, separate the product that you're selling or the services that you're selling from their real goal. Separate. So if you're selling AI productivity, if you're selling stock market learning or training, if you're selling real estate, if you're selling crypto, it's never at all about those services or those industries. The only reason why, and this is, there are primary intentions and then there is secondary intentions. Just like you have primary feelings and secondary feelings. Anger is a secondary feeling. Fear is a primary feeling, right? Sadness is a primary feeling. Same thing with intention. Your primary intention is not to make money. Your primary intention is to protect your family or protect yourself in the future when you need to retire, to be able to to have a leg up on the hard economy, on a recession, to be able to anticipate they being downsized for whatever reason. I'm getting old. I was diagnosed Parkinson's disease just a month ago. That's a real condition right there that can help you mitigate their process and help them, right? If they already have a serious reason why they need to make changes in their lives, right? So intention is very important. and it becomes more relevant or more or clearer as you go through the process. I want to say hi to Yoey. I want to say hi to Rose and Marge. Thank you for attending. Welcome on board, and we'll probably see more people coming in. Thank you, thank you. All right, perfect. So, very important that you understand what intention is in this part of the game, right? Second item, I don't think we're going to take a long time talking about these because they're very easy and very easy to understand. So let me say one more thing about intention. So there are a lot of companies out there. Let's establish what the difference between a lead and data is. Data are people, like for instance, this guy that this example of a person that came in and 5 minutes ago, they saw a short and they said, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me just talk to these people, sign up for having a phone call the same day, an inbound, and you get excited because it's an inbound call and you get in there. And the guy is just, I've been thinking about, I just thought about it because I saw your seminar. If people use words like it's cool, I thought it was cool, that's data. That's just information about someone. That's just a voice. That's not, I take it through the process, right? But because here's the thing, at some point early in that conversation, I want to establish level of seriousness, intention. And once I want to scare the people that are not. I know that a lot of salespeople, they want to cultivate and build that relationship until then they see and they get it really excited because they have someone on the phone and they want to keep them on the phone as long as possible so they can make the sale. No, don't do this. Don't just buy into just cultivating a relationship and helping them understand and get emotional. You can never show someone how to be emotional and have real intention towards any financial goal and expectation they have in life. If people don't feel any emotions about that yet, you can't help them, and they're going to waste your time. I find out if they're quickly. I want to find out if they're really serious about this, about the possibility of changing their lives. If they tell me, I've been thinking about it. I mean, that would be nice if I can make a lot of money. That type of language just tells me that, first of all, you just don't get it. This is not a good lead. This is data. It's a name and a phone number that decided to call, and you got a voice on the phone, right? I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the leads of the people become prospects. But you got to look at this from a practical standpoint. You need to. Here's the thing. Salespeople, I'm going to talk in this case. If you watch my videos, I don't train people to become salespeople. I train people to become closers. If you're a closer and you are making money on commission, which is the best way to make money is commissions, right? But you also have to factor and quantify your time in the process and how much you're making as far as the time that you're putting in. So if you're going to be talking to a lot of people and you're going to be spending 20, 30 hours talking to people, and that lead seems to have a pattern of just the same people, and trust me, leads have patterns. And you notice that these people they're just curious. That's not a good lead source. You need to find something else because you're not going to make money with that lead. Right? So intention is very important. What's another part of having the difference between lead and data? All these four bullet points that I'm talking about: intention, money, respect for the offer, name, brand, or principle. The name of the if the name of the training course is John Smith, then that's the principle, right? Or categories of leads. We're going to talk about the difference as far as categories on leads that leads have. The second one is money. This will also determine. So let's say that you're talking, again, no disrespect to people that don't have money or are broke. We have to realize that we're going through through hard times, and a lot of people are broke. People that were not, they probably were very responsible, worked really hard, maintained credit scores high enough, got any type of credit card with any type of amount available to them. But at some point, the economy just went south, and they haven't been able to recover. They suffered as far as credit scores, money, people going through divorces. I mean, a lot of things happen, right? So I don't mean any disrespect to these people, but what I'm saying is, what do you do with someone? Yeah, they have typically when you, and this is the one thing that I wanted to make sure I'm not going to come out disrespectfully, but what are you going to do with someone that has all the intention, very serious, and typically people that are broke are the most ready to talk to you, to do what you tell them, to follow the process, to be excited about talking to you. And if you hear them, and this is on a 90%, maybe even higher, maybe 95, 99% even of people when you hear them say, "Hey, thank you so much for, I'm so grateful for this opportunity." When instead, most of the people that talk to you are very protective, and they don't want to show a lot of feelings. People with money don't show a lot of feelings. People with money, they're a little bit reserved. They're thinking, everybody wants to scam you, or at the very least, they just want your money, and they're probably exaggerating. These are salespeople. Of course, they want commission. They want my money. They want me to invest. So I'm just going to be very careful in the way that I'm going to talk to them and how much access I'm going to give them to information about me, right? Typically, people with a lot of intention, a lot of money, or good enough money, or enough money to invest, they're not going to come out and say, "I'm so grateful for this." Now, that's if you do. I'd probably say, on a 40-50% of the times that I go through the process with someone and I close them at the end, 50% of these people tell me, I'm really glad that I got to talk to you, Jader. What a pleasant process, and I learned about this. I learned a lot about this because of the conversations we had. I have a lot of people telling me this. Our conversation is very philosophical in the sense of in direction towards success, in direction towards failure, towards inspiration, towards all those things, right? But I want to make sure you understand the difference between someone who's got money and someone who doesn't have money. And people with no money, you got to find out. That's why you got to find out. And please, if you're someone who is judging what I'm saying because you haven't been in sales, because you probably have a bad perception of salespeople, I want you to know that we got to protect salespeople. First of all, salespeople are not evil. And here's the opposite to that. Henry Ford said, "Nothing happens unless somebody sells something." Nothing. If you have a corporation and nobody sold anything, nothing happens. Salespeople are the most important workforce in the entire world, because salespeople are the people that are helping the economy move forward. People have a bad perception of salespeople because of the personality of a lot of people have in this field. They're constantly pressing to move forward with an investment or a purchase, paying for something. Well, think about your job. If you're a receptionist, if you're you work for any type of company, your company will have a sales force in front of you that are bringing in the money so that you get paid. So those people that normal people, I call them normal civilians, I guess, I hate so much, are the very reason why they have a job. They just, right? You just gotta realize this. So if you hear me saying you gotta get to the money as fast as possible, I don't mean any insult. but this is how we maximize our time. We can't, if you make, say if you make $100,000 a year, it's good money, right? Depending on where you live, but it's good money, right? It's decent money. It's you can pay rent, you can pay mortgage with that money, you can pay for your wife's car and your car, right? However, if it's taking you 16 hours per day talking to people 7 days a week, you're not making good money. You're not making good money. Because if you extrapolate that into the hourly rate, you're probably making very little money. Very little money. All right. This is the reason why you have to maximize your time, expedite the process. It doesn't mean you need to rush people, but there's going to be a reasonable amount of time to get and understand if it's worth their time. And here's the reason why so many people out there are not training on this. How to weed out the people who don't have the money, and you're doing them a favor. One, they can save some face. Two, they don't have to waste their time because you're good at maximizing your time by knowing if they can afford or not. That's being transparent, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to tell people the investment of anything up front. Find out what money they have, and that's one of the excellent parts of my training is I train people on how to, right at the beginning, find out if people have money or not in a very organic way without scaring people that do have money. Because if you're just going to tell people, do you have any money to invest? People are just going to take that as intrusive, not so much insulting, but intrusive enough for them not to want to deal with you. All right. So make sure you understand that. So money, it's important. Okay. Another part of the difference between leads and data. Respect for the offer, name, brand, principle. Right. They give you a call. They have all the intention. They have been thinking about investing into a service like yours so they can be really good at whatever it is that you guys teach, train, coach, mentor, whatever it is. They have the money. They have money. You can tell. I can tell when people have money. I can tell when people don't have money, and I can tell when people are BSing about having money, and I can tell when talking to people who are BSing about not having money on a 90% of the time, right? When I talk to people, I kind of know, right? There is a psychological profile, and I've done this for so long, and I think we're going to talk about that next time. I'll write it down later, but we're going to talk about how to figure out people that have money, people don't have money, without making an objective, rational decision to get rid of them. Because sometimes, guess what? Sometimes I thought I'm talking to someone who's broke, and they have a lot of money. And a lot of times I talk to people that genuinely sound like they have a lot of money, and boom, they're broke and they don't have any money. They don't even have a job. So you gotta also, there's nothing's perfect in life, right? So we want to make sure that you guys know that. Okay. So respect for the offer. So you got someone with money, with intention. They don't know who you are. But more importantly, the marketing system of the place that you're working for is not really effective enough to screen people, to build that support. People can go to live events. People can do a lot of things, express a lot of interest. But if you're not taking people to the max of their feelings as far as who you are, to believe in you, and I'm not talking about hanging around for a long time, right? I mean, it's preferable if you have, and the majority of your leads have been around. That's why I tell people that don't have a strong presence. That could be from physical presence to the way they talk, the way they behave, the way people perceive them, and what I tell them when I'm helping these companies, and that, by the way, one in particular, This one company, the principal of the company was just not didn't really. The first time that I saw him, I thought he was a scammer, and but what he did is he built a fan base. So he had a lot of people following him, and it was unbelievable how much people liked him. But he was an acquired taste type of deal. You had to get to know him to like him. He was goofy, he was funny, but he was over the top. Like almost, he wouldn't be the kind of guy that I would follow. That's not my. I mean, I worked with him and made a ton of money, but if I to be a client of his or a follower, he was not my cup of tea. Right. So, uh, respect for the brand, respect for the principle, respect for the name brand. That's important, right? For the offer, right? Because nobody's going to give you $20,000, and you also have to build that yourself. We've talked about this for so many times here. Uh, how people buy from you, not the brand, right? But the name brand, if there is a constant communication between the principal of the company through videos with people, events, webinars, so forth, that's going to play a huge role. But you can make the change. You can significantly influence the process as well. But respect for the brand is important. Let's talk about the fourth and final point before we leave, guys. Category of leads. There are four categories of leads: A plus, A. Then you have your B's, and then you have your C's. So let's explain what they are. What's an A plus? They have an upfront offer, right? For $100, the more the merrier, right? So if they have a $500 offer where people bought an event, maybe paid $2,000 and they paid $500, maybe they paid for a download for $99.99, right? That the reason why that's there is to qualify the level of interest people have. So the more they spend, the more interested in serious they are. That's so a $1,000 purchase up front means to me that this person has $1,000 worth of interest. Um, in any event, any type of investment, people, even a $39.99 shows me that they're enough interested to pay some money, to take their credit card or debit card out and pay for it. By the way, that also qualifies if the person has a means to pay, right? That's important because you didn't understand that. So that's an A plus. It's someone who invests more, I'd say more than $300. That's an A plus. An A lead is someone who's invested a little bit into an offer, $30, $100, maybe $200. That's a little bit of a lesser value, nonetheless, still in the high marks of category. So think of Al Pacino, A plus actor, versus who's not up there. Oh, gee. You guys are Ben Stiller. I was going to say Ben Stiller. He's really let's say Will Ferrell. Everybody knows that guy, right? So let's say Al Pacino, say plus Will Ferrell, is just A, right? Still very very popular. People laugh. He makes people laugh a lot. Everybody knows him. He's a little old now. If you were to talk about people you recognize, Kevin Hart, A plus comedian, right? Dave Chappelle, I'd say A plus in my opinion. Um, One of the who would be an A, not an A plus comedian? I don't know, someone who's not as famous, right? I'm not really good with these names, but I know the top, and that's the reason why I know them because they're top out there, right? So the same thing happens with leads also, right? B leads. A B lead, still a good lead. It's a decent lead. but it's not A plus or A. They still, I mean, B leads are qualified enough to have the intention, to have been thinking about, but they never executed purchase, right? So they just gave you information and they wanted you to give them a call, or they book themselves for a call, whatever, right? So that's a B lead. We don't know if this person is willing to invest into whatever it is that we're selling, right? So that's a B lead. So A plus, A, B. C leads are rehash leads, leads that have been circling in the system for a while. You take them, maybe you train people with those leads so you don't burn the good leads, because you're going to have to burn leads when you do. But there's money in there, right? If you circle those with the people that you're training, if you're a coach, a business owner of a training program, this is something that you probably already figure out. If you haven't, then do it, right? So you circle those leads and you give it to the people that are training, or you give it to your terrorists. Who are the terrorists? The people in the workforce, in the sales force, who are distracting, and you're probably not going to have there for a very long time. You just give them whatever, because they're not good salespeople. They're distracting people, especially if you have a floor, or if you have, someone who's working remotely, but they are playing PlayStation more than selling and getting on the phone. You give them whatever it is, just until you get them there and you kick them to the curb. All right. All right. I thought I could have said it better, guys. Always giving you the best. I think I have over 100 videos, lives like this. And I was thinking, if I have repeated a topic, and I can't think of anything that I've repeated. Maybe I have talked about things reoccurrent because they're principles. And when something is a principle, it has to be embedded. It's kind of like the Bible, right? You faith is everywhere you read the Bible, right? Or you read, a manual, an instructional manual. There are principles in any type of field that you think about, right? I'm not trying to be religious or inclined to anything with when I said the Bible. I'm just saying that it's a good example. There's principles in there that are reoccurring. It's the same thing in sales, same thing in engineering, same thing in every single aspect of life that you have principles, and those principles are sustainable throughout the process. Like, for instance, one of the principles we have in sales is posturing and report and takeaway. I always talk about those because they're principles. How I train people to become closers, not just salespeople. That's principles. Those are the principles that I hold, right? And that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you very much for coming here, Joey, Rose, and March. Thank you for attending. I'll be here every Tuesday, Thursday, 90% of the time, 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be here. Also, please subscribe, hit like, hit the bell for notifications when I dump a video like this or drop a video like this, so you guys know I'm going live, or we have any new things. Subscribe. Go to www.blacklabel-closers.com. Make sure you put the dash because I originally had a domain named www.blacklabelclosers.com, but that's not working anymore, right? So I had to get the new one when I restarted the company again, and I had to put that dash because that was taken by previously. I couldn't fix that, so the best and most practical way was to put that dash there, all right? Catch you on the flip. Thank you very much for coming. See you later. Bye-bye.